the core four of networking. All right, the core four of networking. Networking is an essential skill in both business and personal development. In the core four of networking segment, I break down the key practices for building strong, lasting relationships. Do you know what the core four of networking are? They're on the screen right here. Oh, wrong way. They're on the screen right here. Can you see them? Can you tell me what they are? You should. Oh, now they're gone. Here's a short clip that'll get you up to speed on the core four of networking in case you're not. There you go. Check this out. What's up? I'm here with Al to give you guys another networking tip. We've given you 3 so far, and today we're going to give you a 4th. But before we do, let's recap. What's the first thing they got to do, Al?
Show up.
You got to be present and accounted for. What's the second thing?
Be yourself.
You be you, your authentic self, because nobody likes fake people. Not a good look. What's number 3?
Pay attention.
You got to do some active listening. You got to know what's going on. You don't want to stare into somebody's eyes and nod your head thinking about what you got to say next. Pay attention. And now that the recap's done, I think the 4th one's the most important. What do you think, Al?
Oh yeah, there's no point in doing all 3 if you don't do the 4th.
That's right. So why is the 4th so important now?
Because the fortune's in the FU.
What do you mean?
Fortune's in the follow-up.
Ah, that's right. Follow up. Don't have a conversation with somebody, take their business card, and then do nothing. Follow up. Speaking of following up, if you guys would like to hear more networking tips from Al and myself, comment more or yes, please underneath this video. And Al, what are we going to do after they make that comment?
Follow up.
Haha, that's right. See you guys later. All right, I'll be breaking down the core 4 1 week at a time. Week 1, show up. Why simply being present can open doors to success. Week 2, be yourself. Authenticity is the key to forming genuine connections. Week 3, pay attention. The importance of active listening and being fully engaged with others. And then week 4, follow up. How to maintain and grow relationships beyond the first meeting. What's the most significant networking hurdle you have faced? And how did you tackle it? Or are you still trying to tackle it? All right. Please share your biggest networking challenges and how you've addressed them. Or if you need some help with them, let us know in the comments below. All right. Because in addition to the core 4 of networking, this segment will also showcase local members of the organization, of the networking organizations that I'm affiliated with, as well as other businesses and professionals in my network. I'll also provide insights on local networking events that I attend. Today, Al and I are going to talk about the number 3 of the core 4 of networking. What's that, you ask? Check out this brief clip because you know I got one for you. Al, how's it going tonight?
Good. How you doing?
And that's the wrong clip. Here's the right one. What's up? I'm here with Al to share with you guys another networking tip. After you show up, and hopefully you're being yourself, what's the next thing they're going to do, Al?
Pay attention.
Pay attention. That's right. And how are they going to pay attention?
Actively listen.
All right, actively listen. Just think of the acronym EAR. You got to use your ear to listen, right? So think engaged, attentive, and responsive. So just show up, be yourself, and
pay attention.
I was listening. See you guys next time. Let's check out what Al and I had to say about paying attention and active listening as it pertains to networking. Please stand by. Al, how's it going tonight?
Good. How you doing, Jay?
Awesome. Awesome. Could you please let the new members of the audience know who you are and what it is that you do?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Albert Moore. I'm a financial advisor at Edward Jones. I specialize with everything from retirement planning, estate planning, to all types of financial planning.
Awesome. Thanks, Al. So let's talk about paying attention and active listening. Al, what would you define active listening as?
Okay. Active listening is what it says. Active listening is, when you go out networking, is a lot of time is as much as you want to, tell about what you do, sometimes is do the reverse side is like, listen, ask that person, talk about themselves, about what they do. And that's called active listening. And a lot of times you can just listen to, about, they'll tell you things that you will find clues as to how you can find either something in common or something that you have that you can talk about other than about your work and to build that relationship.
Awesome. So active listening kind of sounds like paying attention. One and the same, huh?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I got a few talking points that pertain to active listening and paying attention. I want to kind of go through them here. So let's talk about active listening as far as building genuine connections. Active listening shows respect and genuine interest, which builds trust and rapport, right?
Right.
People remember how you make them feel. Listening intently, it makes them feel valued. You in the audience, has anyone made you feel a certain kind of way at a networking event that you remember? I'm sure you would. Let us know in the comments. Al, what about you?
About me?
Well, what about you as far as building connections through active listening?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times, and I mean, when I first started out networking, I did what everyone does. I'm here. I call vomiting. Telling about everything what I do. Then you see how fast people just walk away from you. Then later on, when you, in order for you to say, well, if I bump into that person again, you know what? I'm going to say, yeah, I remember you. But you had mentioned something about this. That's a lot of time listening to what they say, remembering who they are, what they said, and then the next time you see them at an event, you can remind them. Say, yeah, you're the person who said you enjoy when you go skiing. You like to take your skis off at the top and do this some sort of ritual or whatever before you go down the mountain. I mean, something like that. I say, and the guy go, how did you know? Yeah, well, we talked about it and so forth. So. And that would make a great impression on someone that, you actually listen and you actually remember.
No, that's excellent, Al. I can think of a time. I thought of a time where I'm at a networking event and, I'm sitting out, no names or anything, right? I'm sitting down with these people, a table of people, and, these two ladies, they know each other very well, right? And they just know them to know each other very well. And, I'm sitting there with them. And I said something that one of the ladies had said to me like a month or so ago, a month and a half ago, 4 or 6 weeks ago. And when I said it, she's like, oh, wow, she was shocked and surprised that, she remembered. And then her friend that supposedly knew her better than, anyone else didn't even know or didn't even remember. And, people, it makes them, speaking of making people feel a certain kind of way, right? It makes them feel good, makes them feel valued. And that they're being paid attention to. And it's really effective. It's just a kind human being thing to do anyway. Right. I mean, really. So all right, I got a couple more talking points here. So gain deeper insights. By paying attention, you pick up on the subtle cues about their goals, challenges, or their needs, right? These insights can help you identify ways to collaborate or offer value. I know we talked about offering value to people, so active listening can help with that quite a bit. Al, do you have anything to say on the subject of gaining deeper insights by paying attention?
Oh yeah, there's a 4-letter word that I tell people to always remember. It's Ford, F-O-R-D. One of the things is this is what you come up to talk about. Instead of you could just talk, say, here's my business and what I do, but then always just think about the next, these 4-letter words that look at it as a topic that you want to talk about. Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when you talk about these things, you can now ask someone and say, hey, you know what, how's your family? Do you go vacation with your family? Or say, oh, your job, there's something that you do is interesting. Tell me more, or recreation. What do you do for fun? Like myself, I love cooking. I have a passion for cooking. I can talk about food all day. But then maybe some people say, I enjoy, going fishing. I enjoy just hanging out, playing bowling or something, something recreation, skiing, hunting or what have you. So, and then, dreams can be like, what are some of the dreams that you might want to think of, that you wish to do? These are just different topics that people are open to talk about rather than listening to me talk about my business.
No, that's awesome. It gives me a replacement for Fix or Repair Daily that I've heard.
Right.
All right, so family, occupation, recreation, and then dreams.
Right.
See, I was paying attention. See what I did there? So
Yeah.
that's interesting. So what I find with that too is by using that, you can get a lot of information from somebody, right? People like to talk about themselves. It's just the way we are, right? So you can get a lot of sub information off just like family, just by itself. Just you could pick up so many nooks, so many different nuggets of information about somebody asking those. So that's an awesome strategy there. So Ford, all right. So by the way, audience, and we're talking about paying attention, one of the core four of networking. This is the third one that we're going over now. And we're just kind of talking about what it is, and we're giving you a peek into some of the strategies and things you can do to enhance and grow, because this is keeping it real, right? It's, personal and professional development, and one of it is through networking. That's what we're talking about here. So this third one, pay attention, we're giving you kind of an overview and some little some strategy, but in the subsequent weeks ahead, as we go through the weeks, we're going to get more in depth into the different core of the core four, like show up. We're going to talk specifically about showing up, a specific thing about it. And then in week 2, we're going to talk about, being your authentic self and strategies on how you can do that, or how you can grow as a business person or career person, an individual, professional in those areas. So I just wanted to, tell you that now. We're just going over like maybe a 50,000 square foot view, and we're going to go in and talk about more specifics on strategies and how that you can employ and grow personally and professionally. So anyhow, let me get back to these talking points. We have 2 more here. The next one is avoid miscommunication. All right. Careful listening. It ensures that you fully understand the other person's message, reducing the risk of embarrassing misunderstandings, right? Or even missed opportunities. I wonder how many people miss out on opportunities because they're hearing the person, but they're just not listening. What do you do in the audience? What do you do? Do you pay attention, to others when they're having a conversation with you at a networking event? Or do you just kind of shake your head, up and down, smiling until your face hurts? What is it that you do? Drop a comment. Let us know if you do actually, listen or pay attention. Al, what's your take? What's your take on avoiding miscommunication through active listening?
Right. So a lot of time is when you're at networking, you're here to build a relationship. You're not here to solve a problem. You're not here to pretty much do where you're there to start doing your business right away, right at networking. So one of the things is, if somebody like they come up to me and go, well, I have a question, you as a financial advisor, I have a question about, about financial planning, about retirement planning, estate planning. They keep coming on, and you say, sure, tell me more. But then later on, they have so many questions. Then I usually stop right there and I say, it looks like you have a lot of questions on your mind that you would like to talk. So why don't we schedule a time to meet, and then we can do this and go over this at a better place, better time. Right now may not be the right time because you don't want people listening to your business or anything like that. So I mean, sometimes once you know that they're starting to open up to you, but then you don't want to say, okay, tell me now. No, I'd say, all right, let's set up a time so we can discuss more on this, right? And then that way you have to take you could say bring that person to out of their comfort zone and be able to where they can pretty much tell you more.
No, that makes a lot of sense. You don't want to put the person in a position to start spilling some personal info, because you deal with some sensitive information. People, so when they talk about their financials, it's usually it can be a touchy subject, but definitely a personal one. and to have them sit down in front of you where you can actually fully engage in focusing and take actual notes, so that you don't miss anything. You're really doing them a service for doing that, for kind of stopping them and making that appointment. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Right.
Perfect sense. But yeah, as far as miscommunication, and also when active listening allows you not to get embarrassed. There's a lot of situations you can get into where you weren't listening to the person, and then you see them maybe in the same evening, and oh, how many kids you have, and then you just talk to them, and they just told you, like earlier on in the day. I know it's the first time you met them, but it's like, come on, it can be embarrassing. There's so many different embarrassing things that can happen by not active listening. So it's really to your advantage. You're a lot more professional looking too when you come across, when you're paying attention.
Well, I'll tell you a true story. I was at a networking event, I think a couple of weeks ago. I was there. I met this guy a few times, but then either, he was there and said, hey, you know what? Hey, nice to see you. He said, hey, thanks for the gift. I said, and then my mom like, what gift? And he said, yeah, my wife loved the earrings. I went, okay. And I said, yeah, okay, great. Yeah. I didn't say anything else. I said, all right, you must have mistaken me. But because there were other people that was around him, that I we were surrounded networking, people like they gather in groups, and you're saying hello, and this guy's telling you this. So I don't want to be there and say, you got the wrong guy or something, so I didn't say anything, but I just nodded my head and went, okay, great. You're welcome, whatever. And just moved on, because otherwise, sometimes you have to look at the situation. If I had told him, say, you got the wrong person, are you all right? And then that could be a humiliation with him and his friends that was there,
Yeah, you saved them because you're a gentleman.
Right.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so I have one more talking point for us tonight, and it's, I think, a really important one to active listening. So it builds referrals and relationships, which is the biggest thing we're doing here, networking, right? People are more likely to recommend you, when they feel that you've genuinely invested in them and understood their business and goals, right? Strong relationships grow from mutual understandings, and that starts with, guess what? Good communication and good listening. Al, what strategies or techniques do you use to ensure that you're truly understanding someone's business and goals during a conversation?
So that one is, a lot of time is, you would mention, you ask them to say, what their business is about. That's all you have to, you ask them, say, well, what brings you here when you go to networking? You don't ask them, say, what do you do? Everyone's going to say, well, I do a lot of things. So what do you mean? Say, what brings you here? A lot of times they're here for networking. They say, okay, so what type of business, are you in? Then once you start talking about that, then he can tell you about your business, and then you can say, well, I'll tell you a little bit about what I do. And then you go from there. But a lot of times, once you start building the trust, that is when people would refer people to, that's the word, the key word, trust. Is you meet them enough times, then they're willing, they feel that, it's safe to open up to you. Like I said, they may not open up to you on the first time you meet them. And that's rare if it ever happens. But maybe 3, 4 times, 5 times, or even many more times, then you build that trust, and they would, give you a call, or they would say, hey, by the way, I do have a question for you. Do you do this? Do you do that? And that's when all right, there's where I waited enough time, and then I built that trust, and now this person is trusting me to open up, and that's how you know that that person you've built that trust with that person. And that person is more willing to open up to you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I've done what you talked about, and I've seen people open up all of a sudden. Like that you see that moment all of a sudden. Right. They start to talk about certain things that they wouldn't before. Just they kind of volunteer the information like out of nowhere. That sort of thing. You can tell that people start to feel comfortable and whatnot, and it's an awesome thing. It's a mutual feeling. It's great. But no, like I said, it makes a difference. So active listening and pay attention, huge difference. So you guys need to look from week to week. It's always going to pay attention. Will always be the third Monday of the month. We'll be talking about this subject and getting into it. So if you guys in the audience have any questions whatsoever on any of the core forward networking that we have gone through, just put them in the comments, and might be a talking point that we can talk about on the next show. Or hey, maybe I'll invite you on to be on and talk about that talking point. We'll see. If you're shy, I get it, but at least engage. Let us know. That's all I've got for this segment. How about you, Al? Anything else that you want to add?
No, it's just when we say pay attention, means really pay attention. Don't and always if that person, you feel like you have connected with that person, just remember, you can put down on their card. Here's a little tip: is when they give you their card, what you can do is, if you don't have a good memory like me, you can write down little tips on their business card, in the back of their business card, about what you heard from them. What are some key things that you can always go back to? It's like, oh, he mentioned that he likes fishing. He mentioned that he likes to do this or something different, something that you can remember him by. And that's a little tip. So when you look at the card, you look at that person, you look at whoever you're calling. Hey, you could even call them on the phone and say, hey, you know what? I remember you telling me that you enjoy fishing. So what kind of fishing do you do? That way, that person, wow, he really did listen. So that's just a little tip, little tip that you don't really have to have a good memory, but once you meet a lot of people at networking, you might say, I forgot who's who. But take their card, write little notes on that. And once you're done with the conversation with them, and you go a long way with that.
See, that's what I'm talking about, Al. We're going to be giving all these nuggets out about these core forward networking. I'm going to hold back on the nugget that you just kind of had. I'll wait till the next, one of the next ones for it. There'll be plenty, right? So,
right.
Speaking of others, next Monday is going to be week 4. So we'll be talking about following up, how to maintain and grow relationships beyond the first meeting. All right. So again, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, discuss your story, topic, or whatever, just all you got to do is engage and comment, and I'm going to follow up with you. Oh, we got to talk about that next week. So I'd be happy to have you on the show. Al, what's the best way for someone in the audience to get in contact with you?
Sure. They can either call my office at 508-697-5389 or contact me through email at albert.moy, that's MUI, at edwardjones.com. Awesome.
Thanks for joining me tonight, Al, and look for Al again on future episodes. I appreciate you, Al.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. That wraps up this segment on active listening and paying attention in your networking game. Remember, people don't always remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And if this resonated with you, drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Next Monday is week 4, so we'll be talking about following up, how to maintain and grow relationships beyond the first meeting. If you got a story to share and want to be a guest on the show, reach out. I'd love to have you on. Seriously, let's do this. And if you catch me at a networking event, don't hesitate to pull me aside